Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Sadie Has No Friends. I want to remind everybody, if you wouldn't mind checking out the YouTube channel, because you can watch full episodes of what we talk about with bonus content. Also, if you wouldn't mind just if you're listening to it in podcast form, hitting that automatic download. That way, it always just you wake up and it's there and it's ready for you. But before we get started today, which I'm very excited for the show. Before we get started today, I have to thank one of our wonderful sponsors, and that's Cristiana Salon Spa, ChristianaSalonSpa.com. Go there, get pampered, or just maybe you just need maintenance done. And maybe it's been a long time since you've had maintenance done, or maybe you are a regular person that goes in and you like to get the Aveda products that make your hair smell so good. I just went this last weekend to a party that they had, like a kind of kickoff to the holidays party, and it was all the proceeds they gave to Realities for Children, which was very cool. But there were gift bags, and you got little. I love gift bags, and you got little freebies of Aveda stuff and everything. My hair smells so good. I got some hand stuff. You get great deals there also at Christiana Salon Spa. So when you're there, be sure to mention the name of the podcast, Sadie Has No Friends, and you're going to get 10% off. And thank you for listening. You so fancy. Welcome,
Mm.
everybody, to the newest edition, the newest episode of Sadie Has No Friends, talking to an old friend who I got to see the other night, just like randomly.
Was
And
that
you
weird?
caught me at a night where I had a few drinks.
I went over there and there was a martini and tears, and I think they generally go together. In fact, the tears make the martini taste better, I believe.
Could I sound any more sad in that story than you walked over? Well, here's the thing. Hang on one second. Alexa, off. The Alexa just goes off on its own. Before we
That's
get
why they will
started,
not
we
be in my house
still
listening
had
to them.
before we started. I have to finish that. I was there having dinner with friends, Ryan and I. You and Julie were across the room having dinner with your friends.
Mhm.
And I had 2 dirty martinis. Have you heard of the dirty martini? My friend Stephanie told me about it. And,
Okay.
it instead of just vodka or gin, you mix both
Why?
for extra tears.
Okay. Well, vodka. Now, here's me going into my nerdy. Vodka and gin are basically the same thing. Gin is just vodka flavored with certain botanicals. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
Little
Well,
Scott
I just
wisdom
want you
for
to
you.
know it caused a lot of tears. And I'm like really not a crier. Scott and I worked together. He's my guest co-host today, but we worked together for so long and you were the crier. I was not the crier.
Well, I
But
was a
then
crier at things like radiothons and when I would get a little emotional on the air talking about personal matters and that type of thing.
I know, and I was like stone faced all the time, like a monster. And then all of a sudden I see you in Bonefish and I'm like, "Bleh," and you
Well,
came
what's so
over and
funny,
I just like was like weeping when I saw you. It was really weird. Don't you think it was weird?
Julie's friends were literally saying, "Okay, tell us what happened to the radio show and what's going on. Are you done with radio?" And then that kind of thing. And so I started talking, and your husband walks by behind us, and my wife's like, "Oh my God."
Oh,
And so
that's
we
weird.
see your husband, and then you come over, and then you say hello, and then you go back and sit down, and we continue our conversation. And your husband comes over and says, "Yeah, there's a lot of crying going on over there. Maybe you better go see Sadie." What? You didn't know?
That makes me sound so unstable. It really does make me I am not a crying person. This is so bogus. I was caught off guard, and here's what happened,
Okay,
and
I'm
this is
ready.
so dumb.
I need to hear the story too.
Well, here's what happened. On Halloween, we're in the kitchen and we're getting Murphy ready for school and all that stuff. And on the Today Show, which I never watched the Today Show, but we used to for like a decade, we watched it. It was just kind of on in the background.
Yes.
But every Halloween, they get dressed up. It's always so cornball. And every year, Scott and I would make fun of it. That was like our thing. And we would laugh and make fun of it and be like, oh, they're so wacky and outrageous. And it was funny to us, probably because it was every year for so long. It was almost tradition we had to laugh. But you
Yes.
know who isn't in that tradition? Ryan. He's not in that tradition. So in the kitchen, I'm like, "Oh my god, they're so wacky, Ryan," and he's like, yeah."
What do you mean? Yeah.
Like, and I got upset and I ran out of the room crying. And then we saw you like the next night and it just all kind of like
Fell
flooded down.
down on you?
It just made me sad. I got really sad. And then there was so much going on with the election. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to have a guest co host on the day after this major crazy election and talk about it, I'm going to have you on. And I said, we don't have to go. It's probably best to just go right down the middle. Here's what I'm going to tell you, Scott.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you that I have been called terrible names today on social media, and no one knows how I have voted. The two things that just, here's something that just annoys people when you don't talk about things. I don't talk about religion and I do not talk about politics. I just
And
don't.
I talk about both. It's my favorite things to talk about.
You love to talk about both. I myself don't feel knowledgeable enough to talk about these things. And so I just don't. And so, but from not saying something, I put up this stupid like meme that I found. And it was like, peace and love, but show us who you're voting for. Is it a red heart or is it a blue heart?
Gotcha.
And everybody, it was like people were going back and forth. The fights that I saw starting, and then somebody dragged my ass into it. I didn't even put a heart. I just wanted to watch everybody else put hearts. And this person dragged me and they were like, "Oh, so we're expected to do this and go to battle and you're not." I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, did I vote? Yes, absolutely. But I don't think that no one knows who I voted for. It's kind of like a sexy, fun secret. I don't talk about it. People think they know, but they don't really know, Scott.
Well, and that's the thing in the fact that we can't. That's what's wrong with our society. And if you want to get really serious for a second, that's one of the things that I am raging against is we must learn to have conversations again. I'll make no qualms about who I voted for, but I'm an elected Republican in Weld County. So, yes, I voted for Donald J. Trump. I've had interesting dances, not physically, but metaphorically speaking, I've had interesting dances with Donald J. Trump because I've certainly haven't liked his bombast through the years. But when it comes down to the binary choice, I thought he was a better choice. So, yes, I voted for Donald Trump. I didn't post anything about this on my social media, but folks were aware of the fact that I did. And I also have posted some things on my personal blog about some of my feelings about some of the more sensitive topics, abortion, et cetera, et cetera. And I've talked about this. In response to that, my niece came back and said, and this is somebody I have known for years and years and years, not the niece that lives close to you, the one that lives.
I don't know. I was
far,
gonna
far
say I saw the thing that you're gonna say, and
away.
I'm gonna text you and be like, "Oh damn."
What you don't know is offline, this individual told my wife that she could never see me at family gatherings again because she would not feel safe.
Shut up.
For decades, I have for a
Terrible.
politician, I have posted very little political. I mean, not zero, but I surprisingly little political for a politician because I know how it can trigger. Well, I am tired of censoring my words. I think we need to have conversations about that which we believe. Secondly, I I have watched this individual for years post things that I vehemently 100% disagree with, but I don't stop loving her. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
now she doesn't feel safe in a room with me.
which
That's
is
what
so
we
weird.
that's what we become as a nation. And it must stop, regardless of my guy won yesterday, your guy might not. You might think he's devil incarnate. I don't think he's the second coming. Trust me. If you study the Bible, God uses all. Samson was a deeply flawed individual, but he's one of the heroes of the Bible. I think God uses us all where we're at. That aside, I think that he's a flawed individual, but in the binary world that was the choices, he fit my worldview better. So I voted for the guy. And by saying that, half the people that listen to this show, and more than likely more than half of the people that listen to your show, will now hate me. And that's wrong. So
Yeah.
what? You voted for Harris. Good for you. I'm glad you voted, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
and the
kind of at
electorate
this point, it's like, "Way to go, you got out there and you voted," and
you
that's a big
participated.
deal. And you know, hopefully read up on it and um, didn't just say, "I'm gonna go all red or I'm gonna go blue, I'm gonna." But I was shocked at these are people where I'm like, "What?" Just completely getting attacked. And I'm like, I've never once said any not on the radio, not on here. I have never in so long, years and years, I've never
People
said
assume.
anything. I
People
just
assume.
hmm?
People assume and assumptions are wrong.
Yeah, and I just kinda roll with it. It really doesn't bother me, but it does make me kind of sad, and I've actually contemplated, should I take this down? Because people have kind of started to fight. People that don't even know each other are like, "Oh my gosh, you put a blue heart, you're an idiot." And, like, I mean, just, like, awful things, and I'm like, "You guys don't even know each other."
If you voted for Kamala Harris, I don't think you're an idiot. I love you the same way I've always loved you. I would like to have a conversation with you about why, about what attracted you to that candidate. And I will communicate with you about what attracted me to my candidate. And I bet that we'll find that we're more alike than not. This nation needs to get out of its silos, stop throwing word grenades, and start having those conversations again, Sadie. I am fascinated by this last election because I believe that there was a paradigm shift. I am a classic old school Ronald Reagan Republican. That's the kind of conservative I am, which makes me boring and old and institutional. And part of the problem, if you listen to my right, for crying out loud. But Trump put together such an interesting coalition of people that you wouldn't normally expect to be together. RFK Jr. and Elon Musk both behind the guy. In
But can I tell you
interesting.
something?
Yeah.
I know, and I know that you're coming at this from the political standpoint of it is interesting. But I read that book about the Kennedy men and just how awful they were to women, and he was one of them. And I don't know, I'm not feeling it. Then it came out that he's, like, trying to shtoink that this is the problem, Scott. Alright, this is the most I'm gonna talk about politics, just from the side. But this is the problem. The problem is we have lost all faith in these people. You are not doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is taking care of us. You are too busy. Jr., Robert Kennedy Jr., he's out trying to run for president and he's trying to get poon on the side from some journalist. Like, people have lost faith in what these people say. And it's not just politics, it's also, celebrity. Can you believe I'm saying that right now?
But there are two things that you bring up there. Thing one is it's not my job to take care of you. Not my
I
job.
know,
It
I
is your
know.
job to take care of you. It's my job to make sure that what you said, you're out. That's what you said about politicians. It's your job to take care of us. No, we're not babysitters. We're to make sure that policy is such to where you can live and be free. Okay, they into that lecture. Secondly, we don't believe in anything anymore. We don't believe in our institutions, and that's because our institutions are no longer trustworthy.
Right.
Character matters. I've communicated this for 2 decades. Character matters.
Yeah.
The makeup of an individual matters. You may find them. I am the most boring guy on the planet, but I love my wife, and I've never tried to get poon on the side. I can tell you that much.
My
Because
God, I've never even heard you say the word "poon." That was
well,
adorable.
well, we're not throttled by the FCC on this particular platform, so I
Yes,
might get
it's so
colorful in
good.
my language.
So
And
nice.
character matters. And we've gotten to where do they fulfill a construct? Do they have an R behind their name? Do they have a D behind their name? If they have an R behind their name, then they're this and this and this. And if they have a D behind their name, then there's a this and this and this. We need to look at the person and we need to look at the principles in which they believe. And I've been saying that for 2 decades, and nobody listens.
No
Nobody.
one ever has listened to us, Scott. I'm so tired of it. It's gone so far now. Okay, here's what I wanna do. Here's
Yes,
my concern. Are you pulling recording audio on this?
I absolutely am. Yes.
Okay. Are you but not video, obviously. That
No,
wouldn't
I
make
have a
any
face for radio. I do not do video.
I'm not covering you up. Just 'cause you're coming out of the speaker strange, so I just wanna make sure you're getting your audio, and then I can steal it if I need to.
If mine sucks, if yours sucks, then you can get it from me. Is that what you're saying?
Perfect. Yes, that would
Yeah.
be amazing.
Gotcha.
Um, no, it's just been so divisive. I've never seen anything like it. and I don't know. Here's what I see. This is where I have to edit because I get all stumbly and stuff, but
I'm not gonna edit, by the way.
I'll edit it. Don't worry, I got it.
I'm one of those rip and read guys.
I know you are. I like it to seem like I don't breathe, where it's just word after word after word after word. No, so it's just incredible. So how was it going to work today? Because you work in politics. How
Yes.
was that? What was that like when you went in? Was it
Well,
because you're in Weld County, so
I'm
you're
in
in
Weld
the
County,
Trump area.
which is very strong. Well, it's not very. We're slipping. We're not as strongly conservative as we used to be. The number one voting bloc in Weld County is the independent unaffiliated voter. They have more than Democrats or Republicans alike. But I work with four other elected Republicans, and so and what's interesting is they're high fiving each other, and I'm always uncomfortable about getting into politics around staff. Excuse me, because
I
our
could
our
edit that out.
I won't. I cough, I snort, I sneeze, I might even sniff. I'm
Mhm.
human.
You're gonna
I
sound like Celine Dion when I'm done.
we work around staff that are apolitical, and they shouldn't be political. Our staff should just do the job for the people of Weld County. And so I'm always uncomfortable discussing things of politic or around the kind people that work. There's just five
What was
commissioners.
the what was the vibe when you went in today?
The vibe was incredibly upbeat.
Yeah, people were
Um,
really excited.
but what would you expect out of and I work largely with the four other Weld County commissioners and then the support staff that's around us. And I know the political inklings of some of them, and we were happy with last night's outcome.
But now you can't go to Thanksgiving, so what are you gonna do on Thanksgiving? Because you're so can I dive a little bit deeper into that situation?
Yes.
Um, so we're not gonna say 'cause I've met a lot of your family through the years,
Not going
and
to
I
say her
think
name. I'm not going to say her name. She's a
no,
niece.
no, 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 I don't want you to say anybody's name, but I'm
Mhm.
just saying one of your nieces, you're saying after Trump won,
No, it
she
was
did
very. It
post
was.
something
It
on
was.
social media that was it was dramatic, it was about, "I'm gonna cry." It was very dramatic, and I wanted to just which it's I see, and this is where I feel like I'm tiptoeing and dancing around because I'm like, I don't wanna piss anybody off, but my first instinct was just kinda be like, "Oh, okay." But you're saying that she called your wife?
She did. She texted my wife. She thought and was Sadie. She rightfully called me out for a bombastic website post, scottkjames.com, a bombastic website post that I made. And I used, can I say what it is? And you might think less of me.
I
I got angry about the abortion issue. I called it baby killing.
Oh, okay.
And that she was very upset about that. Now, trust
Okay.
me, a
Did
woman that
she call you and tell you like, "Hey, I saw you
no,
posted this, and
she
this
didn't,
isn't okay?"
she didn't call me. She called me out on social media.
Okay.
And if
So
she would have
she
would have
okay.
called me, I would have said, "You're right. I was angry at this point in time, and that's insensitive." I fully believe in a woman's right to body autonomy. I believe in a woman's right to choose, but I also think abortion's wrong. And I was trying to split that hair. I think what I call abortions of convenience are wrong. If it's a medical necessity, then you do you. And furthermore, if it's an abortion of convenience, I believe it's wrong, but it's still not the government's right to interfere. And I was trying to express that opinion on my personal blog, and she took quite a bit of offense to it. And I understand why, because I used a bombastic term. My apologies for using that bombastic term. I won't delete it. I won't take it down
Oh, wait,
because
wait, wait.
that would be politician of me if I deleted it and took it down. No, I said what I said.
So it's still up right now.
Still up right now.
And okay, so you posted it, I'm assuming on social media, and that's where she commented on it?
I did not post. I did not post a link to this article that I wrote on my personal website. Did not post a link to it on social media. I posted
Okay.
another link about how it was, and that you might have read it. And I just said, people are tired. People are
Yeah.
done with it. People see through the crap. I don't think it's Republicans versus Democrats anymore. I think it's they versus us. I think it's the elites and the people who know better how to live our lives than we do, I think we're tired of them. We're tired of the lies. We're tired of just what you talked about. We are tired of being disappointed by elected representatives. We're tired of being disappointed by the system. We're tired of being disappointed by it all. And I think Americans are over it. And
Do
I
you
said,
think it's fixable
I do think it's
at this
fixable.
point?
I do think it's fixable if Sadie and her neighbors in Timnath get involved. I do think it's fixable if we, the people, stand up. And I hate to sound colloquial when I say we, the people, but there's a reason that they wrote that in one of our founding documents. We, the people, if we, the body politic, so to speak, stand up and hold these people accountable, then and elect better people, regardless of the letter behind their name, I think that we can change it.
Yeah,
But
but
and
we've talked before about the fact that you can't get past a certain level unless you're willing to bend on your morals on some level. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I don't know whether it's morals, but it's you have to do things you say you never do.
Yeah.
And that is one of the main reasons why I dropped out of my congressional race is I I was being asked to go places as far as saying things and being bombastic and attacking the other individual and doing that kind of stuff. I was asking to go places that I could not go. It crossed a moral line with me. I will not. Yadira Caraveo, who is going to win re-election against Gabe Evans, who is the guy that I dropped out of the race
Remember, yeah.
so Gabe could move forward. Gabe ran a hell of a race. I endorsed Gabe. But I like the heck out of the congresswoman. She and I have a relationship. She's a very nice lady. We agree on nothing, but she's a very nice lady. There's an example of how you can get along with people. At any rate, she texted me after I got out of the election, and she says, I'm so sad that you dropped out, but I'm so happy that I didn't have to go through the general with you.
Yeah,
Meaning,
you know what's you're talking about the commercials and the
meaning she knew that kind of stuff would launch. And Sadie, can you imagine how fat they would have made me look? Oh my God.
first of all, every time a
I,
commercial came on for this Gabe
yeah,
Evans gentleman
there's
that
Gabe and Yadira. Yeah.
I was like, I would turn to Ryan and go, "Could you even imagine if that were Scott?"
And
And they
that's
were
what
like,
we would
"Brr,
have been.
brr, brr," and you're slow motion walking, and they're like, "Skate Scott hates puppies," and then it's like, "This is paid for by the blah, 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 blah," and it just goes back and forth. I think people are very happy that that's over,
Yes.
but you were so close to that. I'm really glad that you didn't have to go through that, though. That seems
I
traumatic.
last night we went to the GOP party. The Weld and Larimer County GOPs had a big party there at what is it, the Grain House at Martin Lynn's place up there on the hill. And I went to the party and it was packed. And then I saw some of the candidates, and Congresswoman Boebert was there, but Gabe was not. And I saw the looks and the stresses on their faces, and I looked at my wife and I said, "Thank you, Lord, that's not us."
Yeah.
I wasn't cut out to do that. I'm cut out to be a county commissioner because I like to help people and I'm good at my job.
And
But
you
to
can
go
do
through that,
that
what's that?
and you can do that on you can actually help people on a smaller scale. Because
Help
I
two.
hate to say it, but I think again, you get to a certain size and you get to a certain height and then you're just completely untouchable and you've lost touch with so much stuff.
Here's a little thing. I helped two people today that were working on their farm, and they pulled a building permit and it got denied, and they were really frustrated. And so I just called our building department, and I kind of worked our way through it, and I helped them get their building permit through, and I felt really good. And that's the kind of stuff that I get to do as a county commissioner, and I love doing it.
I'm really proud of you. Look at you.
And
I went and
it's
got
so
lasered
simple.
today. Oh,
You did what?
oh, it's not even so much the sound or the pain, it's the smell. I've sure missed you. Talking every morning about this stuff off the air, and he'd go, "Ah." Like, "I'm sorry, no one's awake, I need to tell you this."
That you got lasered today?
Yeah, I went and got lasered. So awful. When am I just gonna give up and just say, "Forget it"? You know what I mean? Like, at what point do I just say, "Forget it"? I'm just gonna let the hair grow. I'm gonna wear the comfortable Crocs. I'm gonna when do you quit caring?
But I'm now. Have you seen all three of my chins on you and your damn video? I hate video. That's why I don't do video casts.
I know, Scott hates video. I I forced him on. I said, "The people need to hear from you in this time."
So where to from here? And I'm
Yeah, so
curious.
I said I reached out to Scott today and I'm like, "Do you wanna come on and talk about, like, where now? Where will things go? What in your guesstimate will you see change-wise? What are we gonna see?"
I think on a national level, um,
Just yeah.
I can talk to you about policy. I can tell you that in 72 days, when Trump becomes the 47th president, I think you're going to see all the things that he implemented that Biden rolled back. He'll implement them again, and that'll make some people scream in anger. Oh my God! And it'll make people like me very happy. I think you should open up the Keystone Pipeline. I'm a big proponent of that. I think we should again get energy independent. I'm a big proponent of that. And so some of the, but I think you'll see a reversal of policies, and I do think you'll see the cost of living get better, but it's going to take 2 and 3 years. I mean, our economy is a battleship. You don't turn it on a dime.
Yeah,
Um,
I saw people this morning on social media, and they're like, "All right, the economy," and, they're thinking that they're gonna walk up to the gas station, and it's gonna be like, "Ding, ding, ding, ding,
no,
ding."
it's not going to do. It's going to take a while. Things do. And so I think you'll see a distinct difference in policy, and people like me who are kind of policy wonks will get excited about that stuff. What I hope happens. Here's what I hope happens. I
'Kay.
can't tell you. I think we're just going to continue to be angrier to each other. What I hope
Oh,
happens is that we start having conversations. I got to tell you, I've never listened to the guy. He's the biggest media personality on the planet right now, and
oh, Joe Rogan.
I've never listened to Joe Rogan until he had you know who, and he had Trump on, then he had Vance on, and then he had Fetterman on right after that, Senator Fetterman from Pennsylvania. And
Mhm.
and I listened to all three of them, and I was fascinated. My only thing is this guy talks for 3.5
Yeah.
hours with one guest, and I am in the car about, well, it takes me 32 minutes to get to the office and 32 minutes home. So I have 64 minutes a day I can listen to something. I don't have time to listen to all of one of these podcasts, but I love this. I love the concept, Sadie, of just having with conversations with people and getting to know who they are.
Yeah.
He's he's brilliant, Rogan. I thought he was brilliant at doing that. And he's just a regular guy. He's a martial arts stand-up comedian guy, you know?
I
And
love Joe Rogan. He does such interesting shows, and I think he does shows that run the gamut, which, to me is incredibly interesting because there are things that are interesting to him. But his podcast is what introduced me to the Whittaker family. My God, Scott, the Whittakers, you know who they are?
you know who they are.
They're the most inbred family in the world.
See, only
Or
you would
maybe
grasp
the
onto
United
this.
Listen, you brought Joe Rogan up. I'm just saying
And
I also frequent his podcast, and I'm saying that that's how I got hooked into him, but it's true, he does. I did sit, like, an entire Sunday. I listened to him talk, for 3 hours to somebody about the moon landing.
oh, moon landing denier. Now, see, I'd been into that. And
I
that
was so into it, I was like, "Wait a second. I have no right believing any of this or having a theory," but I was in it. He got me in it.
That's why I have so struggled getting my own podcast off the ground, because I'm fascinated in so many things. I mean, one day I could have this in-depth conversation with somebody about land use policy. The other
Yeah.
day, and the day after that, I could be talking to somebody about the conspiracies behind the lunar landing. I'd be all about that. Can you imagine me talking to somebody about AI? Oh my
Yeah.
God. I'm
I
in.
know. I
Yeah,
just stare out the window and my
but
god, everything all the AI stuff is really crazy.
the thing is, with having one of those kind of shows, though, what
Yeah.
do people know how to expect? And I guess with Rogan, he's built the largest podcast audience on the planet. You expect Joe to have a conversation with somebody, and one day it might be politics, and the next day it might be the most inbred family in America. Who knows? And you're just in for whatever he's got. Huh?
Oh my god, it's the Whittaker family episode. Oh, it was so good. I mean, he does put out he does put out, but it is true. One day it's somebody that's really legit, and the next day it's like a which this is legit too, but it's an MMA fighter, and they're talking about it, and I'm like, I am so lost. But then he's really good about bringing all different kinds of people onto his show.
So do that.
He has a lot of friends. Joe
Does
Rogan has a lot of friends. That's where we
back to
differ.
the name of your podcast, where maybe not so much. Is that what you're saying?
Well, thank you for coming on today and kind of just giving an explanation as to what might be expected and also just the treachery that people are just going at each other. It
Mhm.
makes my heart sad. We're not gonna get anywhere. And no matter how many times we say hopes and prayers, we still go for the jugular. I'm seeing it on this silly Facebook post that I put up on social media, just asking like all you have to do is leave a heart. And people are just so cruel to each other.
E pluribus unum.
I do.
E
Yeah.
pluribus unum.
Explain it to the people who don't.
No, Sadie, you take this one.
You brought it up. It's not
E
my
plur
time.
it is our national motto, from many one. And we must again find our e pluribus unum. We have many different takes. I have Congresswoman Yadira Caraveo, and congratulations, by the way, on your reelection. I didn't vote for you, but I mean, I'm thrilled to continue to work for. Congratulations to I've got a couple of friends that won reelection to county commissioner that are Democrats. And I have had a wonderful working relationship with Congresswoman Caraveo. I agree with her on nothing, but I think she's a delightful woman. I get excited about seeing her, and we can work together on things that are her in her 8th congressional district and my 2nd commissioner district. That's what we need to get to. We need to find from our many one. We need to again. I say this all the time. He said he's going to glass over right now. It's just only she's not in the
Oh my
studio.
stop. What are you
I,
gonna
I
say?
that Thomas Jefferson. I know you hate him, horrible guy.
I
Uh,
hate Thomas Jefferson. That son of a bitch. Why would you bring him up when we only get a little bit of time together?
He's a brilliant man. He is the author of our founding documents, and he's my favorite founder. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams
Monster.
vehemently hated one another, yet they worked together to found a nation, and they died really the better of friends.
Who are you
So,
talking about? Thomas Jefferson and who?
and John Adams, second
You know
president of
they
the United
died on
States,
the same day.
same day. Do you know what their last words were?
Wasn't it about something about like he outlived me
I,
or something like
Jefferson
that?
Jefferson's last words were unintelligible. He just said something and they weren't
Hurtful,
too sure what it was.
hurtful.
John Adams said, Jefferson lives.
Ah, see, I knew it was something spiteful, and I was like, "Oh, damn,
And then he died.
politics have been tough from the get-go."
But
No,
they
they
both
died on the
died.
same day, and it was on the
It
4th of
was 50 years to the date, 50
July.
years later on July 4th. And to me, I gain insight. The reason I close with that story is I gain inspiration from it because we can continue to find our e pluribus unum. We can continue to be one and work through our disagreements and make a better nation. The end. Cue the music. Is there
I
music?
already have, Scott. I'm gonna add that in post editing. Right now, Lee Greenwood is singing behind you.
Good. God bless the USA. Good.
You don't even know it yet. Scott, thank you so much. What's your website again? So people can
Scott
go
K.
read
James.
so people can go read the article that you wrote that pissed your family off so bad that
I
now
was
you gotta
angry.
come to my house for Thanksgiving this year.
I was angry and it was bombastic language. And while I apologize that I offended, I'm not going to delete it because that's phony. It's scottkjames.com.
But if you feel bad for writing it, I don't think there's any shame in deleting it if you were
I,
going off of emotion.
but that is so politician-y. Oh, they fired off this tweet and then they regretted it, so they deleted it. I regret I said what I said, but I'm not going to hide from it.
Yeah, but
Let's
if
have a
you said it, couldn't you
let's
just rephrase it? Why didn't you just rephrase it and instead of saying that phrase, say, you know,
because I was angry and caught up in the moment. And why do I want to delete it?
right,
I learned something from it. I shouldn't have said it, but to take it down would be so politician-y.
it
Let's
would, yeah.
just say that I regret writing it, and I'm sorry if I offended you, but I'm not going to delete it. There it is.
And now you get to stay home on holidays, you lucky son of a bitch. Is that all it takes? Just writing a pissy
And stay home on holidays. Yeah, you know what?
really, I'd love to go and spend time, but
I
I'm
have
afraid I've been
confidence.
banned for my beliefs.
I have confidence we'll work through it. I do.
We'll work through it. I think that's the main picture. We gotta be nicer to each other, Scott.
Yeah,
What's
we do.
going on here? We gotta be nicer to each other because we're gonna make it through no matter what. Um, And that's how we'll end it today, friend. And again, if I see you at a restaurant, just keep walking because I'll just start crying.
I'll just send over a couple of dirty martinis and say, watch her become a hot mess. Watch.
Watch this mess. Just pull the pin. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Sadie Has No Friends. Thanking some amazing sponsors before I say goodbye and reminding you that you can find, we are close to 200 episodes on this podcast. So you can find a lot to binge on if you have yet to listen. If you are up to date, then that's awesome. Go check out the videos on the face. No, that's not. If you're all caught up on listening, maybe go check out, again, the YouTube channel where you can watch videos with bonus content. Thank you, Garage Door Service and Sales, for being such a wonderful sponsor, being so involved in the community always. And they're so well known in the community. You don't even have to take my word for it. You just got to go on and read the reviews for their business. Garage Door Service and Sales, another great local business that I love so much. And I love that I have this gentleman on speed dial. He's the best. Casey Zimmerman, he owns Casey's Pest Control Services. No matter what you are facing, it's the change of the season. Every season brings something new and creepy and awful and things that you don't want in your space. And so if you're dealing with something, whether it's mice or spiders or bed bugs, bed bugs. If you're dealing with those things, Casey's Pest Control Services.com. Bye.